Hello everyone, I'm David Vaucher and welcome to Return on Racing. Return on Racing is powered by Vaucher Analytics, the team that helps your team drive efficiencies off track so you can fuel success on track. Return on Racing is also brought to you by the Motorsports Sponsorship Accelerator, the most cutting edge resource to help you find and maintain long-term sponsorship relationships. Today, I want to talk about big news in the motorsports and car worlds generally. I want to talk the Porsche 963 RSP. Let's get started. So the Porsche 963 RSP is more than a beautiful machine. It's a perfectly executed brand play. It's the manifestation of what every racing program should aim to do: connect Sunday victories to Monday showroom traffic. Porsche didn't just build a car, they built desire. Praise flooded Instagram within moments of its reveal. But beyond the aesthetics, the Porsche 963 RSP is a textbook example of halo marketing. Motorsport used not just for competition, but rather to fulfill its ultimate goal, which is to serve as a brand amplifier to sell cars. This take is unromantic, I realize that. But when so many publicly traded brands are spending considerable sums of money traveling the world with race cars, selling passenger cars becomes imperative to keep racing next season. This is win on Sunday, sell on Monday made real, and Porsche understands this perhaps better than anyone. To make that case, though, I first want to define what exactly constitutes a prototype race car. A prototype race car is a purpose-built vehicle designed from the ground up for competitive racing, with no requirement to be based on a production road car. At least not anymore, without any homologation rules. I'll get to that in a bit of a moment. These prototype race cars are subject only to the technical regulations of its series. These cars do not need to, but can, more on that later, resemble or share components with road cars, prioritize performance above all else, often sacrificing comfort, visibility, and aesthetic norms, and they tend to serve as a testbed for new technologies, things like hybrids, aerodynamics, and materials that may later influence road cars. The common justification you hear for manufacturer-led motorsport programs is that last point, that technology trickles down into a brand's road-going vehicles. Certainly, that transfer takes place, but remember, you sell benefits, not features. You sell the sizzle, not the steak. And so it's more salient to view prototype race cars as marketing gold that also happen to be rolling laboratories. So while it's technically optional, making a prototype race car that doesn't tie back to more mass market cars is a costly missed opportunity. And here is where I want to make a crucial comparison. Though they are considered separate, open wheel cars like those in F1 and IndyCar are in fact technically prototypes, cutting-edge, purpose-built machines with no road car equivalents. But their relevance to the car buying public? My personal view is that while it exists, the potential relevance from so-called sports cars raced in the WC and IMSA is far greater if presented properly, far more than F1. Formula One gets the media attention, and rightly so. It's a global content engine. However, open-wheel cars have almost zero real-world connection. There's no visible pathway from F1 to your driveway for the more casual racing fan. Prototype sports cars, however, occupy a much more relatable middle ground. They're closed wheel, silhouette adjacent, and built by manufacturers that actually sell cars. Even if minimal technical transfer actually takes place, the aesthetic cues shared with road cars should be such that buyers believe their own cars took in all of it. And a good example here, albeit from rallying, is the Peugeot 205 T16, which was similar to the 205 in looks only, but helped sell a truckload of those cars to the point of bringing Peugeot back from the brink. For motorsport marketing ends, a prototype should convey relatable aspiration, and prototype sports cars are perfectly suited for this purpose. They carry familiar silhouettes, feature enclosed cockpits, and just enough visual DNA to suggest that maybe you could own a version of this race car someday also. Indeed, open wheel might be the pinnacle of speed, but closed wheel prototypes are the bridge from pit lane to dealership. That's why they're the true marketing weapons, especially when the goal is to turn racing pedigree into showroom pull. You can easily find ads from decades ago where manufacturers would tout their rally or circuit heritage to sell cars. Again, the Peugeot 205 T16 is but one example. No doubt, the homologation rules of the day were one factor. With those now gone, you don't see homologation specials anymore. But for those companies whose history intertwines with racing, magic can still happen. Yes, there is an expense to doing this, but Porsche has understood for decades that racing well means selling cars. And the more you can reinforce that circuit to road connection, the more brand ethos you killed, and the more road cars. The truth is, most brands appear to miss this entirely. They go racing to prove a point, but it's a technical one. Where's the marketing follow-up, the magic after that? The entire point of prototype racing, especially with the current WEC and IMSA rule sets, is to develop and showcase forward-looking technologies while also allowing a lot of artistic freedom. This was intentional. The rules didn't just make themselves. And this is how you end up with cars that all look like spaceships as interpreted by their respective teams. The Peugeot 9X8 with its lion claw headlights, the bright red Ferrari 499P, the Alpine A424 with the lights in the shape of the brand's logo, and so on. Except, actually, for the 963. Given the tone so far, I know that's a bit of a twist, but I'll admit that I just never found it very attractive. The Porsche 963 looks like a template of a hypercar that the FIA might have shown when it first introduced the hypercar rule set. It's almost as if the company's German engineers took maximum performance too literally and made it all go, no show. To me, the Porsche 963 just doesn't look like a Porsche, which is very unlike some of its most beloved cars. However, when we look back at history, we realize that the Porsche 963 RSP is a very unsurprising surprise. There are certain products and items that I immediately associate with my late adolescence, one of which is the Carrera GT. The car struck a chord with many others, and today it is considered among the greatest cars of all time. Now, the Carrera GT was actually derived from a prototype program, and crucially, it looks so, clearly like a 911. Just like the 959 did and the 918, the 911 GT1, same thing. In fact, it's right there in the name. My ambivalence to the 963 stemmed largely from its seemingly generic looks, but the RSP is phenomenal. It turns out that the competition model does have a Porsche badge on the hood and Porsche emblazoned across the windscreen, but they are visually buried by the livery. Now in a classically gray martini silver color with a gorgeous brown leather interior, Porsche even wrapped the steering wheel handles. It looks exactly how a spaceship as interpreted by Porsche should look. The 963 RSP has the exact same color scheme that my dad dreamed of when he talked about the Carrera GT. It's the same exterior color as his 996 Carrera, and it's the type of car that he would have dreamed of today. In short, the Porsche 963 RSP perfectly closes the loop between motorsports and the road, and I do think it could become a legend. Most people misunderstand the real job of a racing program. Yes, winning is important, but when so much money is involved, winning is a means to an end. Good racing is about building desire. Motorsport is a marketing tool first and a technical exercise second, and it should create narratives that elevate the entire brand. Porsche gets this, and with so much effort spent over decades on winning races, it can now fully flex the marketing rewards at a relatively marginal cost. The Porsche 963 RSP absolutely costs something to develop, but probably not as much as you might think. The key to this project was everything else. The timing, which was during Le Mans festivities. The setting, Le Mans. The extras, they introduced it with a matching road legal 917. It's a high impact, low incremental cost execution that leverages the existing 963 platform and connects the brand's current racing efforts to road car heritage in a way customers and collectors can emotionally latch onto. The payoff is in plain sight. Instagram posts liked by enthusiasts the world over, articles and online outlets, and who knows how many cars sold down the line because new owners saw the 963 RSP and went, yep, I've been putting off that 911 purchase, but now it's time. This is what happens when a brand's diligence over decades, tying professional to aspirational, starts paying exponential returns. It's everything motorsport marketing is supposed to be. Now, all that's missing is a win at Le Mans to crown what might become one of the most effective Halo cars ever made. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you want more insights like this, I would request that you please consider subscribing to the Return on Racing newsletter. This weekly newsletter from Bosch Analytics covers actionable motorsport strategy, cost breakdowns, and sponsor intel, all in less than 500 words. You can sign up for the Return on Racing newsletter directly on the front page of Bosch Analytics. That's www.boschanalytics.com. I want to thank you for taking the time to join me today, and I look forward to speaking with you again on the next episode of Return on Racing.